All right, Algebra 1A students, welcome to part 2 of lesson 3.1. We're continuing our talk about inequalities in this section and how they're different from equations that we've been working with. In our last video, we talked about how inequalities have many solutions to them, infinitely many solutions in most cases. And in this video, we're going to talk about how we can use graphs of number lines to indicate all of the solutions of an inequality. So we're going to graph inequalities on a number line and indicate where our solutions lie on that number line. Okay? A few examples here. If you look here at these inequalities, you have 4 examples, and these 4 examples are all 4 different types of inequalities. In this case, our variable n is less than 1. Okay? In this case, our variable a is greater than or equal to 0. Here, our variable f is greater than -3. And here, -2 is actually bigger than our variable x, which is the same thing as saying x is less than or equal to -2. Okay, so as you can see, please write this down, that we can write -2 greater than or equal to x as x is less than or equal to -2. Just flip the whole thing around and write it that way. Okay. The key thing to notice about the graphs is that there is a difference in the graphs for the inequality symbols that do not have the equal to line and those that do have the equal to line. Okay. Those that do not have the equal to line are an open circle at the boundary point. Okay. Open circle at the boundary point. At this other number. Open circle at the boundary point if there is not an equal to line. Okay? Or if there is an equal to line, we have a closed dot at the boundary point. Okay? Closed dot, filled in circle at the boundary point if there is an equal to line. Okay? And again, because there's not an equal to line here, it's just f is greater than -3. We have an open circle at -3. And here, because our x values are less than or equal to -2, our Pac-Man's opening towards -2 with the equal to line, we have a closed dot there at -2. Okay. Otherwise, graphing an inequality is quite simple. You just make either an open dot or a closed dot at this boundary point. Okay. So in this case, 1, or in this case at 0, or in this case at -3, or in this case at -2. Okay, you just make either the open circle or closed circle at that point, and then you just decide, do you want your variable numbers to be bigger than that or smaller than that? Okay, if you want your variable to be smaller, like we do here, we want the 1 to be the bigger piece, we want the variable to be smaller than 1, we shade to the left of 1. Okay, smaller in your variable means shade left. Larger in your variable, like here, a is greater than. My Pac-Man opens to the a, so I shade to the right here. Okay. F is greater than as well. My variable is bigger than -3. And then here, x is actually smaller, right? My variable is smaller because the Pac-Man is opening and eating the -2. So -2 is bigger, meaning x is smaller, and we go to the left. Okay? So if you have the equal to line, you fill in the circle. If you don't, it's open. And then you just put that dot open or closed at the boundary point and decide which direction your arrow should go on your number line. Okay? Now, usually I create my graphs or my open dots and my arrows above the number line, just above it, because going over the top of something I've already drawn on my paper is difficult. But I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. So I'd like you to try a few of these. I have 3 graphs here I'd like you to try. So make me 3 number lines, please. X is greater than -4, C is less than 0, and 3 is less than or equal to n, meaning n is bigger in this case. N is bigger than 3, greater than or equal to. So pause the video for a minute, take a look at those, then come on back, and I'll show you what we should get. All right, in the first one, I'm going to put a -4 here in the middle. and I'll do one number on each side, should be enough. -3 is going bigger, closer to 0. -5 is going smaller, more in the negative direction. Now, in this case, the first thing I look at is my symbol. Do I have an equal to line? The answer is no, so I make this an open circle at -4 at my boundary point. And I want my x to be bigger than -4. My Pac-Man is opening to x, eating the bigger piece, the x. So because my variable is bigger, I go to the right. Okay. Here in letter B, obviously I have 0 in the center because that's my boundary point. I'll go 1 higher, and I'll go 1 lower, -1. Again, I look at my symbol first. I decide I do not need to fill that dot in. Should be an open circle because there's no equal to, and I want my variables less than that, so I go left. Okay, and then the last one here, I'll put my boundary point 3 right here in the center. I'll go 1 higher. I'll go 1 lower. And then in this case, when I look at my symbol, I see that this does need to be a closed dot. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in this dot here at 3. And then my n is actually being eaten, which means it's bigger. My variable pieces are bigger because my inequality symbol is opening towards that, so I go to the right. I go to the right. Okay, so that's the first part of your homework, is to just take these inequalities and make graphs of them. All right? The second part of your homework is to actually go the other way. Look at a graph and try to decide what is your inequality for this graph. Okay? The nice thing is I will tell you can always start these answers with x. Then you just have to decide which way should your symbol go. Okay? So when we look at a graph, the first thing we have to decide is which way is the arrow pointing. Is it pointing bigger or pointing smaller than my boundary point? Well, in this case, my boundary point here is at -1, and my arrow goes to the right. Goes to the right. To the right means bigger, means greater than, which means I want my variable to be bigger than my boundary point. My boundary point is -1. Okay, so once I decide that my arrow goes to the right and my variable should be bigger because I went right, I put in my boundary point -1, and all I have to decide is, do I need an equal to line here? The answer in this case is absolutely yes, because that is a closed in dot. So I put the equal to line on and I'm done. X is greater than or equal to -1. Okay? Same thing here in letter B. I start with x, then I decide which way is my arrow going. In this case, my arrow is going to the left. Arrow going to the left, which means my inequality symbol should point to the left towards my x. Because I want the 4, my boundary point, to be the bigger piece, and all my x values I would like to be smaller than that. So I do this. X is less than 4, and then all I have to decide is, do I want an equal to line? Well, in this case, this is an open circle. So the answer is no, I don't. I leave my answer just like this. X is less than 4. Okay? Here's a couple for you to try. I'd like you to write an inequality that represents each of these. I'll tell you again, both of them are going to start with x. And then you can put in your symbol, your boundary point, and decide if you need an equal to line or not. Greater than or equal to, or just greater than. Okay, pause the video for a second. Write those two inequalities for me, then come on back and I'll show you what they should be. Alright, letter A should say x is less than, because the arrow goes left. Boundary point is -3, and I do not need an equal to line. So x is less than -3. In this case, x is greater than, because my arrow is going to the right. My boundary point is 0, and I absolutely do need an equal to line here, because it's a closed dot, not an open circle. If you have questions about the graphs of inequalities, writing inequalities from graphs, or drawing graphs from inequalities, please make a note to ask me in class tomorrow. Otherwise, that's all I have for you. Have a wonderful night.